What's crazy is like, you know it's possible, and it happens. Because I'm not gonna say how easy, but it's freaking easy to make Molotov cocktails.
Oh yeah.
And welcome back to another episode of the Convoluted Podcast, where we dive into the strange, the tragic, and the totally unhinged, one headline at a time. I'm Jesus, aka Tyrant Dominus.
And I'm Liz, pharmacy technician by day, chaos engine by night. And yes, according to some very real internet math, we are officially the 7th best news podcast, weird news podcast out there.
Lucky number 7. Not bad for two people built this thing out of memes, caffeine, and righteous confusion.
Honestly, we'll take it. And if this week's lineup says anything, it's the world keeps giving us exactly the kind of stories that got us on that list.
Oh, we got a donation box thief targeting children's hospitals. Goddamn. A rooftop burglary rescue that feels like a side quest from a low-budget video game. Pornhub's rage-quitting France. Brain surgery through the eye socket. And a peace march in Colorado ending in actual act of domestic terror.
So yeah, a little ridiculous, a little heartbreaking, a little science fiction, but hold the fiction. The usual.
Okay, but as always, we're not just here to dunk on bad decisions, we're here to make sense of them. Or at least laugh about it through the wreckage.
Because weird news is the news. And sometimes understanding the world starts with saying, wait, someone did what?
Yeah. Honestly, that's the truth. So, if you're new or welcome to the 7th Best Circus in the Weird News tent, if you're a returning listener, thanks for this show and what it is.
Hit that subscribe on YouTube. Follow on Spotify or wherever your ears get weird. Rate us. Comment. Tell your friends. Tell your grandma. Especially if she's cool with us saying Mazel Tov more than once.
Okay. So, what have you been up to? Because I heard a very fun, weird thing the other morning.
No, you did you?
Yes.
Nothing, just chaos in my household as usual.
Fun. So I learned that it's good for adults to get tummy time. What do you think that means?
Really? Lay on your belly?
Yes.
Oh, why?
So apparently it's supposed to help. You know that screen cringe you get when you're sitting too long on the screen? It's supposed to help with that. So like 10 minutes on your belly is supposed to help relieve that. It's not gonna replace exercise and stretching, but something.
Hey, I'll take that weird news.
So yeah, it was like, okay, every 10 minutes, just, put a YouTube video, lay on my bed, and just watch. 10 minutes done, over. Hey, if it helps with that,
alright, I'll do it. I mean, if it means helping with the neck, sure.
Yeah,
that'd be funny if I just took my break and I just lay on the floor at work and people were like, "What are you doing?" Laying on my belly.
It's belly time, or tummy time. Tummy time.
They'd be like, "You're not a baby anymore." So
I'm not gonna be hunched over. But yeah, that's the weirdest thing I've heard this week.
Interesting.
Besides that, it's been same old. Nothing new, nothing chaotic, just kind of getting back into...
Yeah, we're getting back into the groove, and summer is about to start, so we'll be having some adventures out there, guys.
Finally. Yeah. It's starting, we started with a very sunny and hot spring, but now we're into this weird, dull, humid beginning of summer.
But it'll get warmer. You know it.
It will.
It's going to start getting warmer.
Oh, it's not going to get hot. Everyone's predicting a hot summer. For those in the north, it's going to be a very hot summer.
Yes, Northwest is going to die.
So, well, it'll be fun, but bored. It'll be hard. But I hope everyone enjoys that. And all the people in the south will enjoy your winter.
Yeah.
But if anything else?
Nope, I can't think of it.
All right, let's get into one of our first segments where the man, the myth, the mortal failure, aka the donation bandit.
Roll it.
Okay, so our first story brings us to Connecticut, where one man... Cincinnati. I gotta zoom in. That is where I need it. See, I need my glasses, people.
Blind man.
Where one man manages to commit a crime so petty, so cartoonishly villainous, that the internet gave him a nickname before the police did. That sounds
And
right.
the nickname is the Donation Bandit. Because he walked into a business, locked eyes with a children's hospital charity box, and thought, yeah, that's the one.
That was the fundraiser box for Cincinnati Children's Hospital, where we're not talking a tip jar or a loose change cup. This is the literal counter at container at community Goodwills or any like shopping mall or anything. You see them everywhere.
Yep, you do. He stole it in broad daylight, on camera, no mask, hoodie up, head down, vibe set to NPC committing side crime.
The security footage is honestly pretty crisp. Dude didn't even try to hide it. Most people don't try to hide anything these days.
I know, right?
If anything, it looks like he thought he was blending in with the countertop. So stupid.
And now the police are asking for help identifying him. Which, bro, someone out there 100% recognized this man's walk and immediately text the group like, is that Kyle from Vape Night?
Social media has been roasting him. One tweet said, this man got rejected by the Grinch for being too evil. Another said, quote, he looked like he shoplifted from a lemonade stand and asked for change.
And the court moves faster than the justice system and meaner.
And here's what makes it worse. Those boxes collect real money for real families. They help pay for treatments, research support, and stuff that actually helps kids survive life-threatening conditions.
So it's just not petty. It's emotional bankrupt. He didn't just steal money. He siphoned off hope. And like no one's buying he was desperate angle when you can see how casual he was.
Exactly. No hesitation, no fidgeting. He clocked the box, executed the world's most depressing smash and grab. That's sad. It's really sad.
It is sad. I want to believe that there's some sad backstory here. Like, maybe he thought he was take a penny, leave a penny situation. But with surgical funding...
He's trying to be a Robin Hood for himself, steal from the sick to give to me.
The Reddit's thread wowed too. People arguing whether it's worse than robbing a church box or stealing Girl Scout cookie cash. Honestly, it's a three-way tie for please stop being this kind of human.
It's also sparked a real question. Is public shaming more effective than jail in cases like this? Like, this guy's already been memed into oblivion. Does he even need court?
Honestly, just sentence him to just donating fundraising events with t-shirts that says, I stole from children, ask me how.
That's right, actually pretty good. But on a serious note, this story shows how people react when trust gets broken. Those donation boxes are a little symbol of collective kindness. You mess with that, you're not just stealing cash, you're stealing faith.
That's true. Like, nobody expects Fort Knox level security on a charity box. You're just supposed to not be a dick.
Baseline human behavior. Don't steal from sick kids. Don't eat soup with a fork. Don't commit felony energy with your whole face on camera.
Exactly. It's not hard. So listeners, we want your best villain nicknames for this guy right now. We've got Donation Bandit, Sick Kid Swiper, Klepto Claus, and my personal favorite, the GoFundMe Goblin.
That's so stupid.
I know, it is.
Oh, God, Dottie. Alright, then. So, yeah. Oh, God, that's so stupid. The thing she comes up with.
Yep.
Okay, I gotta tell her that was just so dumb. I'll message her later. Alright, so drop your comments or drop your comments down below. I don't know if we'll make a sticker. Actually, the GoFundMe Goblin would be a funny sticker. All right. So, what are your thoughts? It's another guy just being.
I personally picked this one up and I was like, are you kidding me? This guy just jacked a charity box for a children's hospital. Not just any normal hospital, not like a regular adult hospital, a children's one. You know, where they need all this sort of support, whether they're battling cancer or got some mysterious disease or, you know, it's like, and all these families need the support. Nobody has any funds to, like, or the insurance to cover all of the support that they do get from the hospital.
Oh, trust me, we have a story on that too.
Okay.
But no, yeah, it's one of those things when we see these types of stories. Like it's stupid, it's ridiculous to talk about, but it is stealing from. As much as we would like to, we're memeing on him, and joking aside, you still need to, you gotta face the consequences.
Yeah.
Like, he will be memed to oblivion for a couple until the next ridiculous person does something. But this one, you know, I don't know. The thing is, they don't have that much money on those things either. Like you see them at grocery stores, you see them at other like retail stores. There's not people pay with cards these days. Like, it's just plastic all the time, and there's very little change. So how much did you really get away with? You know.
I know, but it's still nonetheless.
No, it's not. It's the what's the word?
It's still shitty.
Yeah.
It's still shitty. However you look at it, it's still shitty. You're a human being. These kids need help, and their parents, and the families that help with the situation, and
he just swooped in and grabbed it. You know, that's very ballsy, but that's how people are been these days.
Oh yeah.
Just going in like they don't give a care. They don't care.
No. It's all about themselves, right? The world is selfish. It's all about me.
That's how it is, sadly. But we'll see. We'll go from moral bankruptcy in Cincinnati to an actual rooftop chaos in Portland, because of course Portland would give us a man on drugs, a helipad, and a full emergency service crossover event right in our backyard.
Jesus. This is kind of a side quest you stumble into an open world game. Press X to rescue meth guy from rooftop.
Okay, so the setup. Burglary suspect, reportedly high on drugs, climbs a 5-story building in Old Town Portland. He ends up stranded on the helipad, as it's on the top of the building with no plan, no way down.
And no chill. I feel like he got up there and he immediately regretted 100% of his life choices.
So the police, the fire teams have to team up, buddy cop style, to pull off a literal rooftop rescue here.
A ladder truck rolls in. Firefighters go full tactical tower mode. And somewhere this guy is probably talking to the pigeon like they're CIA agents.
If he's that high, probably. The department later realized a statement praising the teamwork, which is nice, but be real. They saved a guy from himself, while also responding to a felony in progress.
Dude climbed his way into burglary, trespassing, criminal of mischief, and accidental rooftop interpretive dance?
The visual alone, man pacing a helipad like he's waiting for extraction, feels like a rejected B-roll from The Last of Us. Bad Decision Edition.
Do you know what he was yelling up there? Like, I'm the moon! Or, tell Jeff Bezos I made it! I need context.
So there's no audio released here, sadly. That would be super great if he...
Yeah, I know, right?
I want to see that body cam footage.
Yeah, me too.
But based on the body language, he seemed disoriented, very, very stuck.
This is the kind of situation you wonder if firefighters have a bingo card like, man on drugs, weird rooftop rescue, misuses helipad, and ends in charges.
So that's the four corners. Easy.
Real talk though. Is it easy to laugh? But responders risk real danger. That's a tall structure, unstable person, unpredictable behavior.
True. The ladder operation alone was a big swing. One wrong move, you got injuries. Or worse, So shout out to the fire department, and they handled it like pros here.
And now this guy's facing a whole rap sheet in the world's weirdest mugshot story.
Oof. I wonder what the courtroom transcript will read. Defendant was located on a helipad appearing to be command imaginary aircraft.
Your Honor, my client believed he was on a mission. Impossible reboot. He simply took the wrong elevator.
Okay, but the question for the room, what is the most ridiculous place someone ever been arrested?
Ooh, yes, listeners, send us your favorites. We want real stories, headlines, urban legends, bonus points if it involves fast food, food tops, or some sort of poultry.
So, you heard, Liz. If you or someone you know once climbed a building while escaping an imaginary force, or you might qualify for the Portland Bingo.
Or at least a sticker that says I survived being stupid in public.
So, remember, no matter how bad life gets, the roof is not the solution. And we might have our second sticker there.
Oh, there we go, yeah. Yeah. So, somebody had sent me a video about a Portland guy climbed a telephone pole.
Another one.
And high on drugs, obviously. And playing, I think, a cello. And those things are huge. I don't know if anybody's seen a cello. Those things, it's like a violin.
The big boy?
Yeah, really big cello.
Wait, he climbed up
a telephone pole and started just playing like this cello. And like I don't think it had a real sound to it because the way he was reacting.
You were I don't know how you hold such a thing. Well,
he had it kind of strapped on somehow, but I couldn't tell from the way it was angled. But still, nonetheless, here you got a cello on a telephone belt, and this guy's going. And you're like, oh God, welcome to Portland.
that is very Portland coded right there. Yeah, this was just another ridiculous one where, fortunately, no harm came about.
No harm, thankfully.
But it's one of those things where things could have gone bad, and mostly when situations like this. Yeah, it's like you just never know when a person that manic's the wrong word, or is that the right word? Unstable? No.
Yeah, it's sad. We have a lot of meth heads here in Portland, but it's just the way it is, and there's no real plan or real action to like make it effective to like take care of the situation of this preventing this from happening. But we're not seeing
because no one's expecting someone to climb a helipad. There's no procedure.
5 stories high.
Now the thing is, like, how the hell did you get there? Like, I sober cannot figure out how to climb 5 stories.
I would not be able to pull my weight up. How's that?
So, but that's it. That's that for that. So.
Okay, so France tried to regulate porn access, and Pornhub said, "Sorry, no kink shaming, bureaucrats allowed," and nutted out of the country entirely.
That's one way to frame it.
Come on. They passed a law that basically says, you want to see boobs? Show me your ID first. Like, bro, what is this? A strip club run by DMV?
So, they require real age verification, as in, uploaded your government ID just to stream content that, let's be real, most people aren't watching for the plots.
Speak for yourself. I say for the plot. Especially the ones with delivery men, stuck furniture, and unresolved tension between step-siblings?
Anyway, so Pornhub and several other sites were like, no, privacy risk, data insecurity, potential leaks, and a recipe for disaster.
Because you know what's sexy? A data breach that links your full name to latex centaurs for hooves of glory.
That is it's funny, that is a good callback to the book club.
Yeah.
So check that out if you would like to check that out. But sadness, true sadness there.
And somewhere out there was still trying to defend it. Like, no, it's just a performance art. It's French.
France argues that the law is about protecting minors, but critics say that the method is a blunt force tool that punishes adults by turning private habits into potential blackmailing bait.
Let's be real. No one wants their passport info floating into a cloud labeled thirst We don't need age gates. We need shame gates.
So VPN usage in France is booming, like anywhere these days. And it's the new digital exodus. People are jumping borders like they were trying to find Wi-Fi in a bunker.
Meanwhile, NordVPN is like, thank you for coming to our TED Talk. Here's a code for 3 months, free, and your dignity back.
But seriously, this is more than about porn. This is about the government trying to regulate morality using tech they barely understand.
It's about trust, control, and the terrifying idea that some random third-party site knows your full legal name and your taste in thigh highs.
That's power no one should have.
Thigh master power. Except maybe me. I'd use it for good, or at least consensual chaos.
That's the tension here. Everyone agrees kids shouldn't access explicit content, but we haven't figured out how to enforce that without sacrificing adult privacy along the way.
This ain't about protecting children. It's about micromanaging orgasms through bureaucracy. France really said, let me see your papers before you touch yourself.
I mean, that's kind of true. Yeah.
So here's my question to the audience. Would you upload your ID to get your freak on legally? Or would you take the VPN highway to Pleasure Town?
So, we talked a little bit about something that happened here. Remember what this happened in Texas or Florida?
The southern. I thought it was mostly the southern states. I can't remember. Because I thought
there's one state for sure we were talking.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember.
But it's either Texas or Florida. So, it's happening now in France. We have talked about this before. And we probably will be mostly regurgitating the same stuff, but it's just another different country. And yeah, like, I get what they're trying to do. But, like we mentioned here, like, people always get around things. So what's the real point here? You know? It sounds like just, like, Pornhub and their sister sites just kind of went dark. So...
That's fine, but they're being accessed through a different VPN in another country. Did Pornhub care? No, they're still making the bank.
No, they don't care. It's when they're trying to do all these regulations, no matter what. It's gonna make people very annoyed, and like I understand what they're trying to do here.
I understand they are protecting the children, but again. Parents should be putting those locks on the computers and their screens and any of the devices.
Exactly. But, you know...
But again, does any adult want to be responsible? Probably not.
Yeah. Well, that's one of our broken records takes here. Like, it takes a lot of effort, and if you're not willing to take that effort, then the government is going to try to do their jobs. Mm-hmm. And they're going to do a piss-poor job of it. Like we've seen time and time and time again, right? Mm-hmm. So in situations like this, you know, like it's funny that France is not going to be able to access Pornhub. You know, it is funny. Because they are, if I remember right, they're either the second or third largest country to access Pornhub.
That's kind of funny. I find that bizarre, but, you know, I feel like it's so weird because you go onto a beach in France and all women are topless because that's okay. Well, nudity is fine. So that's just, I feel like it's kind of ironic in a way.
I don't know. People be gooning, you know. So.
Yeah, I know.
So it's, what this really means is it's just people are just going to take another step to actually get their porn access.
Yeah.
So, and because there are, you know, the old way to get access porn was clicking I'm 18.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to do nothing. And the other side of this coin is the whole, like, giving a third party your ID, basically. And we've talked about multiple instances where there's been data hacks.
It's still happening. Regardless.
And it's never going to stop. Like, there's no perfect security.
No.
And, you know, and this one would be a lot funnier because then they would know what you were watching.
Mm-hmm.
Which is hilarious in itself. So, you know, that would be a fun story in the future. But for now, it just...
It'd be like that guy in China who got caught with his blow-up girlfriend and decided to blow a fire. We're gonna have that same story. What porn were you watching on this such and such date? I need to refresh your memory. It was centaurs.
So, all right. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I think it's funny.
So the next one. So our next two stories are a little bit longer and a little bit more in depth. So be forewarned, it is intense. So to start with, so let's talk about a medical story that sounds like a setup for a science fiction movie. So surgeons recently removed a tumor from a woman's spine by going through her eye socket.
And here's the wild part. They don't even know that she had a tumor at first. It started because of a routine MRI that wasn't even supposed to find anything serious.
So the patient went in for an imaging related to another issue. Nothing life-threatening, but while reviewing the scans, doctors noticed something unusual. Not one, but two tumors. One on her spine and the other lodged on the base of her skull.
And the second one, that one up high, was the dangerous one. It was, I'm going to mutilate this, cervical chordoma, which sounds like a Final Fantasy boss, but it's actually a rare bone tumor located right at the skull base near the brainstem.
It's a bad place to find anything. Yeah, I wouldn't want anything in my brain. the area...
Or near your brainstem in general.
God. Just feeling it, just like... The area is packed with vital nerves, blood vessels, and an access to the spinal cord. One wrong move and you'll risk paralysis, brain damage, and even death.
So the surgical team had a huge problem. How do you get to a tumor in one of the most protected, hard-to-reach spots in the human body without destroying everything else around it?
The answer? Innovation. The team at the University of Maryland Medical Center decided to try something they have never done before for this kind of tumor. Oh my god, I'm gonna do my best here.
Endoscopy, transorbital approach.
Thank you.
Translation, they went in through the eye socket with a tiny camera and surgical tools, no skull cracking, no opening up the face. They were quickly navigated around the eye, through the bone, behind it, and into the skull base.
Just thinking about that, This wasn't a solo effort. It took a full interdisciplinary team, neurologists,
neurosurgeons,
thank you, ENT specialists, and a facial reconstruction expert, all working together.
Like an Avengers team up, but with scalpels and very steady hands.
So what we'll get into next in a moment is how the surgery went, the recovery, and what it means for future cases. But already this story shows how far medicine has come from the accidental MRI to a blink of science fiction reality.
All because one scan picked up something unexpected, and a team of surgeons said, "We think we can pull this off, but we'll have to go in through the eye."
Alright, so before we get with that, what do you think of that? It's crazy.
That is crazy. I'm glad they were thinking kind of outside the box. Because you think about the base of your skull, you have your vertebrae, your brainstem, and a lot of like blood vessels. Like I can still tell you to this day, guys, I do not like when people use shavers, even anywhere near the base of my skull. Because it just sends off this whole like flood of like panic in my base of my skull.
No, yeah, just the idea of anything in my, like when dentists get in here, just anything in the face, head area, just kind of. You remember? I think Chris was telling us, one of my cousins. He was telling him the day before his wedding, he had to go in for an eye appointment, and they had to put a needle in his eye. Were you there when they were talking about that?
Mm-mm.
And that idea of a needle going into your eye.
It's not unusual because it is. My aunt had where they were injecting medicine into her eyeball, literally taking a needle and injecting straight into the eyeball. I know it's a scary thought, but if it means to have your eyesight, yeah. I'm gonna go for that, you know?
Like, the thing is, at least for him, the way he was driving it, because he was thinking it was gonna be a later procedure, because he went there for a routine thing, and they said like, oh, we gotta you're gonna have to get this. And he thought like, oh, okay, they're gonna schedule another thing, but no, they did it then and there. So no prep time. He's just like, you gotta do it right now because he sent paper.
Yeah, I bet they still gave him some sedation and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's just the idea.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Just thinking about it. If I didn't prep myself, it's just like horror movies that you just. I don't know. Like I said, it's just like the idea of just a needle going in your eye.
Yeah, and you have to be very careful because if you hit something, you'll be screwing yourself over.
Exactly. So, let's continue with the story. So when we say that this was the first kind of surgery, we mean it. Doctors navigated through the eye socket, a space much bigger than not much bigger than a quarter, with an endoscopic tool.
Endoscopy.
Thank you. To remove a tumor lodged at the very base of the skull.
It's wild. This wasn't a routine but tricky procedure. This is an uncharted territory. The area of the body is like a dense forest of important stuff. Right, phone?
Exactly.
Of important stuff. Optic nerves, arteries, the brain stem itself. One wrong move and we're talking about blindness, paralysis, or worse.
But don't flinch. I just did. Everyone, I did. For our listeners, I physically did. The surgery team planned meticulously, mapping out the path that would avoid all danger zones. They used tiny instruments and high-definition cameras to thread their way through the orbital corridor like it was a tightrope suspended over a canyon. And
it worked. The tumor was completely removed. The patient kept her vision, her brain function, her personality, everything. Zero complications, no loss of mobility. She was sitting up and talking the next day.
That's not just successful. That's revolutionary. Until now, accessing tumors in that part of the skull usually meant cutting through the bone, lifting the brain, or going through the nose. Each option was a massive risk, long, painful recovery.
Instead, this approach used the transorbital pathway, meaning the entered behind the eye. No bone saws, no skull plates, just a clean tunnel to the target. It's like a surgical version of hacking a shortcut into a video game and still hitting 100% completion.
So let's be real here. This only worked because the team brought everyone onto the table.
Go ahead.
Neurosurgeons, ENT specialists, reconstruction surgeons, and basically assembled a surgical Avengers lineup here.
Everyone had a role. You had people who knew the brain, people who knew facial structure, people who could rebuild delicate tissues without leaving scars. And when it all came together, a procedure that once sounded impossible became the new gold standard.
This case has already submitted for academic review and will likely become part of future training protocols for the skull-based tumor, meaning this one surgery could save thousands of lives over the next couple decades.
And it all started because of wrong MRI. Like, imagine that. You're going in for one thing and your doctor finds a silent killer hiding somewhere you'd never think to look.
And instead of giving up or going with a dangerous, painful method, they stopped and said, there's got to be a better way.
That part gets me. It wasn't just like removing a tumor. It's about rethinking how we do it. Taking the time to innovate, to collaborate, to try something new because the patient deserved better than standard risks.
And she got it. A full recovery, no lingering damage, 2 tumors removed, and now her case is changing the way medicine looks at one of the hardest areas the human body can reach.
We all talk about bad news a lot on this show. Dumb crimes, political dumpster fires, but this is a win, a big one. A reminder that science can be bold and brilliant and deeply human.
And sometimes progress doesn't mean building bigger machines or faster software. Sometimes it means quietly going through the eye and getting to the heart of the problem.
We love a happy ending, especially when it's medically verified.
Facts, but it's not all a happy ending, sadly.
Oh, it isn't. What's going on now?
So I looked a little deeper into this. So yes, medically, it is revolutionary. It is very good. Financially,
it's good. Oh yeah.
She is 6 figures down deep.
Damn.
So that's where it's fun, guys. We're back to our favorite, debt. So yeah, after everything, they are, they have to do the classic, sadly, GoFundMe to kind of raise the money to pay for all this.
I mean, it is revolutionary. Sadly, it is sad that, insurances and medical boards won't be like, hey, since you were the first, guinea pig.
Like, you get a free ride here.
Yeah.
No. Sadly, no, everyone.
That's terrible. That's just shitty.
Yeah. They are 6 figures down deep, and they have raised a little money, but it's a far cry, and it's very disappointing, right? Like you said, it's when you are on the pinnacle of this revolutionary medical treatment, and you end up surviving to the point where it's where sadly it's what's the point at that point, right?
Right.
Oh, you were scared, one, because you went in for a routine thing, found 2 tumors, that's scary alone. So
finding one of them could kill you.
Exactly. And then oh no, there might be a way to fix it. Okay. Then after all that successful, happy news, then you see the bill.
Yeah. That's shitty. Then the insurance doesn't probably pay squat for it.
No, like I said, no. After insurance, you still have 6 figures.
That is just the American society. It's just ridiculous. I don't know. She was better off probably being dead, not having to pay that debt.
Tell me about it.
I'm sorry to be a negative Aunt Nancy on this shit, but come on, you get this innovation. She's the guinea pig, literally risking her life here, and this potential I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, because for the most part, when I was looking over some of the notes prior to all this, the doctor spent weeks and weeks going through cadavers and doing this, and that's how they do it. They practice on dead bodies to do all this, and they go over and over and then when it's time, it's D-Day, it's game day basically, and you have to
no screw ups, no mess ups, no.
You only get one chance.
Yeah.
And you should feel as the team. I don't know. You would think they would pay up something.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing.
It is very disappointing.
Like I said, as much as I wanted to make it a happy thing, we got to be realistic.
Right.
That's why we're here. Because for our next story, it's another tragic story. So, the next story isn't funny. Sadly, it's not quirky. It's not weird in the way we usually mean. It's a kind of story that forces you to stop, take a breath, really think about where we're at right now.
We're talking about the Molotov cocktail attack in Boulder, Colorado. What was supposed to be a peaceful solidarity march into the act of hate-fueled violence live on American streets.
So, the march was organized to support the release of the Israel hostages being held in Gaza. It meant to show a compassion, non-confrontational, family, activists, survivors, people trying to speak for others trapped in a horrific conflict.
But then Ryan Martinez, a man already known for police for disrupting similar events, showed up. Witnesses say he was shouting anti-Semitic slurs, already agitated, and then he threw Molotov cocktails directly into the crowd.
Multiple people were injured, burned, trauma, and shot. This wasn't an outburst. It was spontaneous rage. I don't know if it's spontaneous, but
it was planned.
Yeah. It was an attack with planning, with a weapon, both the Molotov and apparently a makeshift flamethrower, and in clear intent to cause harm.
He came ready to burn people alive. That's not destruction. That's terrorism.
Exactly. So the federal authorities are treating it that way. Martinez has been charged with federal hate crimes and is under investigation for domestic terrorism. They're saying that the quiet part they're saying the quiet part out loud this time, which is progress, but also it's long overdue.
What makes this even worse, he's already been flagged. Earlier this year, he was arrested for interrupting another pro-Israel rally. He had a record of hostility, and yet he still made it to the march with homemade firebombs in hand.
It's a chilling reminder on how thin the line between harassment and violence. And people saw this man escalating, but no one stopped him in time, sadly.
There is a video of the aftermath. It's not graphic, but it's gutting. You see people crying, rushing to help burn victims, and stunned that something so horrific could happen at what is supposed to be a peace event.
It's not just an act of violence, it's a message. And it's not a subtle one. This was meant to scare, silence, and scare a community already holding a lot of pain.
And yet they showed up. They still came out, even after the fire, even after the trauma. That part matters.
It does. While the community response and the political spin and how the economy reacted...
The country reacted.
Oh, the country reacted. But for now, let's just sit with the facts.
This wasn't a random incident. This is a targeted, intentional, hate-based, and happened in broad daylight at a peaceful protest in the United States.
And we owe it to the victims and to the truth to call what it is. Domestic terrorism. So, before we continue, did you hear anything about this?
I heard about it and how tragic it was and a lot of burned victims. I actually posted a video, or one of the news articles for it, but...
Did you watch the video?
No.
I saw the video.
I probably couldn't have handled that.
It's wild. It's wild. It's just one of the things. So this was apparently this was a event that was held like it was a regular thing. People are coming. So they're trying. This is a very peaceful protest. You know, people were just gathering together and they would go for walks. They were just that's how they would protest as a group walking. I believe in a park. In the park. And for like a short amount of time, they would do their walk, and then everyone dispersed. So this is a regular thing, and I don't know if this will go into it, but I was looking a little bit into the thing. Apparently, this incident, like I said, he was planning something like this. Apparently, he was waiting until his daughter graduated school to do this. So this could have happened earlier too. It's wild. They're still looking deeper into this. At the end, there's a lot to say because
it's so weird. Why would you wait? You know what you want to do it. Just do it because you obviously are you're psycho like that. So
yeah. So there's a lot at this moment. There's this topic right now is I would say one of like the top 5 hot devices topic in this country, right? Just talking about it can get you into a lot of hot water online. So us talking about it alone could get us some hate alone. But we're talking about it.
We're bringing it to light. We're bringing it up to the surface. We're not leaving it at the bottom of any articles. We're just
neutral terms.
They know what they're talking about. So like I said, this is a very divisive thing because, like I said, we keep when we do stories like these, any of the stories we've talked about over these past couple episodes, even when we get into some of the fun, goofy political ones, this is very divisive in the sense where it's taking a conflict from across the sea right now, and just getting into those types of things can get you a lot of hate from either side. So you have to be very careful in how you speak depending on what you say. And even staying neutral can get you into a lot of hot waters too. That's what sucks when you want to talk about things. So when you posted this, I'm like, do you really want to talk about it?
Yeah, I just thought it was a very hot topic to talk about.
It's a hotter topic than you think. No pun intended, because it deals with a lot. Because they're looking deeper into his motive. Because it's like I said, it's what is it? It's domestic terrorism, right? There's the more I looked into it just on the side when you posted it, there's a whole thing of immigration molded into this. There's the whole war right now. There's a lot within
There's a lot going on in this world right now.
Oh no, but that just mixed in with the story.
Okay.
So yeah, because he is an as the online has stated, he's at this point he's an illegal immigrant. So that's mixed into this. So you have that delved into this. It, like I said, it's very anti-Semitic. He was screaming "Free Palestine." That just leads to another layer. So you see, it's just a lot to dive in. So what we're saying here for now, it's just the way we're talking about the story is, it's just a crazy individual went wild in our
backyard, literally our backyard,
and it's just what's crazy is like, you know it's possible, and it happens. Because I'm not gonna say how easy, but it's freaking easy to make Molotov cocktails.
Oh yeah.
So
I could definitely believe that. I mean,
yeah. So I'm not gonna say how to make them, because that's against TOS. But it's not rocket science, so it's easy. The makeshift flamethrower, that in itself is also pretty easy to do. But the thing is, it takes a level of crazy, and to get to the point where you're like going out to harm individuals, but there is like it can make sense of why this individual did it because of some of the potential rhetoric that he was spouting. So just know when we get into the next portion of this, be wary on how you basically speak.
Okay.
So.
No matter what, it was still a hate crime.
Oh no, it's horrible. It was horrible. Trust me. I watched multiple videos. So, after the Molotov cocktail attack in Boulder, once the chaos settled and people were safe for the most part, the shock turned into something else. Anger, grief, and honestly, exhaustion.
Exhaustion becomes it because it keeps happening. Because we know this pattern now. A peaceful gathering gets attacked. The headlines hit. There was a brief wave of outrage, and then
sometimes silence, and worse, deflection. Because almost immediately, some voices in the political sphere tried to reframe the narrative, blaming, like I mentioned earlier, rising tensions, even immigration policies, and despite the attacker being a U.S. citizen, I believe that that statement has been changed at the time. We'll look into it more.
One politician even managed to twist the story into a soundbite about American values being under attack. Which, yeah, by Americans apparently.
And that's the kind of rhetoric gymnastic. It undermines what actually happened. This wasn't a culture war moment. It was an act of domestic terrorism. Plain and simple here.
To their credit, federal prosecutors didn't downplay it. They went straight for the hate crime and terror-related charges. And the local community, they didn't back down either.
That's the part that sticks with me. Because the very next day, because this happened June 1st, if I'm right.
Okay.
Yeah. The very next day, organizers held another vigil in the same area. Bigger, louder, and still peaceful. They lit candles, told survivors' stories, and demanded real protection, not just sympathy.
And that's powerful, because the point of these attacks of domestic terror act is to scare people into silence, to protest, to make protests feel unsafe, to turn free assembly into a risk.
But they showed up anyways. Survivors, families, people from both Jewish and Palestine communities standing together. That's resilience.
And on social media, people weren't just sharing the news, they were naming the hate, calling for what it was, demanding accountability not just for the attacker, but for the system that let him escalate.
But yeah, he shouldn't have been stopped long. He should have been stopped long before this. But beyond that, people are asking the real question now. How do we make protests safer? How do we flag repeated threats without defaulting to surveillance overreach?
And can we talk about how this fits into a bigger trend. Political violence isn't random anymore. It's targeted, strategic, and increasingly normalized.
It's happening at school board meetings, at pride events, at solidarity marches. We're seeing them rise in ideology. Ugh.
Spit it out.
Ideology. What the heck is that?
I was mutilated right around there. Ideologically?
I'm gonna yell at Dottie. Dottie, you gotta stop trying to use these big words. We're not big word peoples. But yeah, it's attacks coming within our communities.
Which makes it even more important to support the folks on the ground, the organizers, the marchers, the bystanders who still show up knowing the risk.
It's not about being fearless. It's about being brave enough to keep showing up anyways, even after someone tried to turn empathy into a war zone.
So, yeah, this one's hurt, and it should. But the response, the resilience, the part we carry forward.
And to our listeners, whether you protest, march, organize, or just care, stay aware, stay safe, don't disappear. Your voices matter.
Because the only thing hate needs to win is for the rest of us to go quiet.
And we're not doing that. So, like I said, there's a lot that this is, like I said, this is a very divisive story at the moment because of everything. But at the end of the day, it's put pretty good. It's like a lot of people came together to just kind of to rise up from this kind of horrible event, right?
That's a great community to come back to the same next day and just go, hey, no, we're not stopping. We're gonna show our fate and show our support, and I think that's great. So amazing, how that, that environment, they come back and say, we're not letting them silence us. We're not letting them win. We're gonna show up and speak out and be louder and
exactly
prouder and bolder. I think that's amazing, that community to come together, and so many people, whether they were really participating or just being on the sidelines watching.
Exactly. And on the other side too, also pushing back of the people who were spouting that kind of rhetoric, like that's not who we are. That is the radical side of individuals, because there's always going to be a radical side to each side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it hurts the message, right? That is the huge outlier of some people. And when people like this individual, what's his name, Martinez, when individuals like that come out spouting things like that, it hurts the other side, who are also suffering. Like there's just suffering going all around, and on both sides here.
Oh yeah,
so
both sides of the story. People of the story are hurt or injured or dealing with violence, and the fact that these crazy people take it to the extreme and then go against the other people. Where I think where you should be melding and molding is like, here we are as a group of people, not groups, a group, single group, and saying, hey, stuff is happening and we need to speak out about this.
Exactly, but sadly it's going to be a far cry from now, because this specific incident has been boiling for like a lot of decades.
Oh yeah, it's been around since I was a child. I remember this is.
I believe it's been it's a couple thousand years. So
yeah.
So
but it's going back and forth for years and years. It's not, it's not.
No, it's
been around since we've been alive, basically.
Before we were alive.
Before we were even alive, but I mean, like Sarah was saying, it's a part of our history. It's a part of time that keeps going over and over again, and we're just coming back to the same cycle over and over again.
Exactly. So fortunately, as far as we know, at the time of this recording, no one died. Fortunately, but some people were hospitalized, and hopefully we'll see what comes about all this and what happens to that individual, and he gets charged for the crimes he basically committed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most we can see from the main incident, but we'll see how we've seen how the public has taken it right now. There's been a lot of statements, but like I said, like we said a little bit earlier, this specific incident, it's just another spark to ignite another of the massive issues that are happening right now inside our country and around the world.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of put a cap to this story and kind of this episode, it's just there's a lot happening in the world. There's a lot of goofy stuff, a lot of crazy medical stuff, and it can be good and bad. And you know, it's these types of stories where it's just like crazy man throws fire bombs into crowd, and then you read deeper and it's a lot more horrendous, and there's no easy way to put that.
Mm-mm.
Anything to close it up?
No.
So that basically wraps up this week's ride through the chaotic, the comical, and the completely uncalled for. From donation box drama to rooftop rescues, from banned porn to orbital surgery, and ending a firebomb peace rally. That's what this episode brought to its full emotional range.
We laughed, we cringed, we stared directly into the eyeball of modern medicine, and we got serious when it counted.
And this episode reminded you how weird and fragile the world can be. Good. That's the point. But it's also remembering that people still show up in hospitals, in marches, in podcast comments.
And you showed up too, listening, engaging, surviving the phrase transorbital tumor resection with us.
Good job on that. So, shout out to everyone listening and all our watchers. So, for our long-time ride or die folks, and the legends who gave us to be the 7th best weird news podcast on the internet, we see you. We appreciate you.
If you laughed, gasped, learned something, or rewound a quote to make sure we actually said that, hit us up.
So don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on Spotify or any podcast platform, don't forget to follow, leave a review, drop a comment, and just share the episode with someone. We appreciate the deep dive into all these stories from the attack, the heli escape thing, the medical thing. Got me.
And if you're feeling extra generous, tag us on social media with your favorite moment from today's episode, or just be your best villain name for the donation bandit. We might just send you stickers or unsolicited memes or both.
What was the name of the other one? The one that made me give up.
The goblin.
The goblin.
The GoFundMe goblin.
The GoFundMe goblin. Yeah, I kind of want to make a sticker of that now. We've been thinking of making stickers, guys.
What do you think? Do you want a sticker? Let us know.
So we'll be back next time for more stories you didn't know you needed and reactions you probably didn't expect.
Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and if someone's climbing onto a helipad in flip-flops, call someone before the fire ladder arrives.
That has been the Convoluted Podcast. Thank you for listening or watching, and remember, it is what
it is.
Bye.
Anything old after 93 can't cook. All they know is McDonald's charge their phony hot chip and lies.